Good morning. It's Thursday. I'm back for the thought for the day. Okay, so I get picked on a lot about my crazy hair, so I decided I would tame it today. So I worked really hard on that. I mean, I just it doesn't work. Can't tame my hair. Okay, but sorry, I just decided I would go ahead and have fun with this today. Um, in the absence of the 80s hair, because I am bringing big hair back, I promise you it's going to happen. Um, so, you know the old saying, you can take the girl out of the country, but you can't take the country out of the girl. Okay, well, I also suffer from that, but I have a new saying. You can take the girl out of the 80s, but you can't take the 80s out of the girl. So, despite the fact that I did actually attempt to tame my big 80s hair, I have decided to bring something else back for the 80s. So, bear with me. Hang on. Ta-da! Leg warmers. They are so fitting for today. It's cold outside. I have leg warmers. So the 80s are forever more present with me. All right. So sorry. I don't know what's wrong with me today. Okay. Yesterday I mentioned wait, this is so distracting to me. Okay, sorry. Let me get serious for a moment. Yesterday we read in James, and I told you, I don't know if you saw it yesterday, for those of you who didn't, I just woke up in the night with a dream type thing where it's like I was awake and I could see what was going on around me, but at the same time I was sort of dreaming. And in this dream, God had put this Bible in front of me, and He had just opened it up to James with no specific direction. So yesterday I was just kind of skimming over James, trying to see if something just really popped out at me. And of course I did talk about what popped out at me, but then the thought came to me, this is a study of the book of James. And although I do not claim to be an expert by any means, we're going to fuddle through this. We're going to try to figure it out as we go. I also would like to highly recommend, I don't know what kind of Bible you have or what version you like. And I know that everybody's different and everybody has a different taste. And I use several different versions of scripture when I'm doing my schoolwork and I'm, doing the theological approach. I try to look at different versions to make sure there's nothing I'm missing. The one that I use for just reading is the New Living Translation. I've got the large print because I'm blind in my old age. Anyhow, this is a very easy to read version of the Bible. I compare it to the King James Version and the New Living Translation. I mean, it's always the exact same. It's just worded in a way that you can understand it a little bit easier. So anyhow, I'm sorry, this is turning into a long post because I'm goofy today. The Bible also, it divides things. Well, you can't see that, so I'm just going to tell you. It kind of puts like headlines for different sections of the book and the chapters, kind of giving you a preface of what that section is discussing, which also makes it easy when you're trying to find something. Anyhow, all of that to say that the first part of James, chapter 1, starting with verse 2, this is dealing with faith and endurance. Dear brothers and sisters, when troubles of any kind come your way, consider it an opportunity for great joy. And not many of us look at it that way. When troubles and things come our way that we don't like, we certainly do not look at it as an opportunity for great joy. We're usually like, ah! But it's very clear. When troubles of any kind come your way, consider it an opportunity for great joy. And now it's going to explain to you why. For you know that when your faith is tested, your endurance has a chance to grow. So let it grow. For when your endurance is fully developed, you will be perfect and complete, needing nothing. So basically, the whole concept of, troubles and trials make you stronger, that's what's being said right here. Let it grow. When your endurance is fully developed, you will be perfect and complete and needing nothing. So the troubles and tribulations, they're not here to make you down. They're here to build your endurance, build your tolerance. It goes on in verse 5 to say, if you need wisdom, ask our generous God, and he will give it to you. He will not rebuke you for asking. So going to God and saying, hey, look, I don't know what to do. I need your help to know what to do. I need your wisdom to do this. He's not going to come at you and go, God, you're stupid. That's not the way God treats his children. He's not going to rebuke you. He's not going to make you feel ignorant, but he is going to hear your prayers. But it says in verse 6, but when you ask him, be sure that your faith is in God alone. So you're not coming to him with ulterior motives. You're not coming to him thinking, well, I'm going to ask God, but I'm still going to do what I want to do, or, well, I'll see what God has to say about it, and then I'll take my own judgment about it, and I'll combine the two and come up with a nice compromise. That's not how it works. You don't ask God and ask someone else and combine the opinions and rationalize it out. You ask God, you trust him, you do whatever God puts on your heart. Do not waver, for a person with divided loyalty is as unsettled as a wave of the sea that is blown and tossed by the wind. Such people should not expect to receive anything from the Lord. Their loyalty is divided between God and the world, and they are unstable in everything they do. So that's exactly what I was just describing. When you go to God and you ask for wisdom, you make sure that you're listening. And whatever he tells you, this is what you follow to the T. Perfect. You do not waver from what he tells you. You do not listen to Jim Bob over here or Mary Ellen over here and take their opinions and combine them and then take part of what God said. You do it all, 100%. You ignore everything else in the world and you do what God is telling you. It goes on in verse 9, believers who are poor have something to boast about, for God has honored them, and those who are rich should boast that God has humbled them. They will fade away like a little flower in the field. The hot sun rises and the grass withers. The little flower droops and falls, and its beauty fades away. In the same way, the rich will fade away with all of their achievements. God blesses those who patiently endure testing and temptation. Afterward, they will receive the crown of life that God has promised to those who love him. And remember, when you are being tempted, do not say, God is tempting me. God is never tempted to do wrong, and he never tempts anyone else. Temptation comes from our own desires, which entice us and drag us away. These desires give birth to sinful actions, and when sin is allowed to grow, it gives birth to death. So don't be misled, my dear brothers and sisters. Whatever is good and perfect is a gift coming down to us from God our Father, who created all the lights in the heavens. He never changes or casts a shifting shadow. He chose to give birth to us by giving us his true word, and we, out of all creation, become his prized possessions. So that's the first part of chapter 1 in James. And like it says, we are God's prized possession. I'm so sorry. That is really distracting. We are God's prized possessions. And when we go to him for advice and wisdom, he gives it freely. The temptations that we think we're experiencing, those are not coming from God. Like it says, those are coming from your own sinful desires. We are all born with a sinful nature, and we work to maintain our righteousness and our salvation through Jesus Christ. But it's freely giving. All you have to do is just reach out there and get it and follow some simple guidelines. If you want to look at it like that, it's so easy when you finally learn to trust God, trust his wisdom, trust his authority, and know that he created everything, including your own body. Your heart beats, your lungs work, your brain functions. All this was created by God. And if he can do that, he can take this simple little problem, whatever you're facing, big or small. It's nothing to him, just nothing. So give it all to him and trust his wisdom and trust his judgment. And that is our thought for the day.